We have all heard about how China is an economic powerhouse and how soon it will be one of the world's most powerful countries, overtaking the United States for the throne. However, in light of recent events, you'll be surprised to hear that China is undergoing an economic meltdown. Normally, we speak about companies, but this subject is so interesting that we just couldn't skip it. Yes, I'm talking about China's economic collapse. You must be wondering, how did this economic meltdown even start? And is it getting worse? What will be its consequences? Well, stick around till the end as we answer these questions and more as we delve into the intricacies surrounding the recent economic emergency that has overtaken the Asian giant. Without further ado, let us begin. First things first, we need to go through the background and reasons that led to this economic collapse, which would help us get a better idea of what the whole issue is all about. If you were to ask me what is the sole reason that this whole so-called economic collapse can be tracked back to, I would say the real estate market. Confused? How can an industry that handles housing can result in such an economic meltdown? Well, let me explain. China is a country where they take housing really seriously. You all must have heard about the debate on whether one should rent a place or if he should buy one. It's quite a healthy argument as both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. However, this isn't the case in China. Quite a large majority of people prefer to live in their own place. To put this into context, in the United States, around 60% of people prefer living in their own homes. In China, this is around a staggering 90%. Maybe they just like living in their own place, or maybe they just love the privacy and control they have over their own home. We cannot say for sure. Whatever may be the reason, one thing is for sure. Housing is very important for a Chinese individual. To put things into better perspective, let us discuss the home price to income ratio difference between China. And let's take, for example, the United States. You must be confused. What exactly is the home price per income ratio? Well, simply put, it is the affordability indicator for a country. The larger it is, the harder it is to attain a property. Continuing our example, the home price to income ratio in the USA is 4.7, which is fairly decent. But in China, it is a staggering 30 times per income, which means housing is really expensive. This is mostly due to the insane demand. Moreover, due to the pandemic, the need for housing grew even more, as people realized they would need their own place if they wanted to socially distance themselves. Hence, according to reports in big metropolitan cities, the ratio went up as far as 50 times. Now that's just crazy numbers. Now, as you can imagine, with such a dominant demand for housing, coupled with the insanely high 1.4 billion people that China houses, the real estate sector in China is massive. So massive that it accounts for nearly 29% of the country's $14 trillion worth of GDP, coming in at a staggering $4 trillion. Now that is just bonkers, as that valuation is even bigger than most countries' whole GDPs. With the huge demand, the real estate sector is quite a popular choice for people to dip in as a career choice. A lot of companies worth millions and billions are set up in the country that take on countless projects to take on the demand of the huge population of the country, desperately wanting a home. These include Sunac China, Hobson Development, Soho China, and the most recent disaster class, Evergrande Group. Here's where the real trouble begins. Remember when I said the real estate industry in China is valued quite high, so much that the companies involved have started to take advantage of this high demand for property? As a result, a Ponzi scheme has begun, which involves these companies taking a lot of money from potential buyers looking to invest in real estate for a house of their own. Now, when they take this money, they start to build flats or buildings that would house apartments for the public. However, they keep some of the money aside and use it for other projects around the country. After they have built a somewhat percentage of the building, they ask for more money from these buyers. The buyers, when they see the progress, easily give the money, as like I said before, they are desperate for their own place. However, upon receiving the money, The building contractor stops construction and, citing financial reasons, start to work on another scheme in another part of the country. The people just keep on waiting for the company to resume building, and that time rarely comes. This is why you see a lot of abandoned half-built buildings in China. It's all because of this widespread Ponzi scheme. This has been going on for quite a while, actually. These real estate contractors would just keep on doing this all over the country while pocketing the money in the end for themselves. Initially, people were fed up, and the industry would be saved by the government lending a hand with the help of a bailout package, or they would pay a fraction of the money back to the people. A similar thing happened with the Evergrande Group. They had taken a lot of money from the public and had a lot of loan payouts. Thus, in the end, they had bitten off more than they could chew and announced that they could not complete their financial obligations. This resulted in the share price of the company dropping, and the company, as a result, had to endure severe losses. Evergrande is not the only company that has overdue payments. According to various reports, China has more than 60 real estate developers that have more than $13 billion in due payments. And the worst thing is that it looks like most of them won't be able to pay them back. They have either asked for an extension on the payments or declared bankruptcy and rely on the government to bail them out. Moreover, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, an unplanned thing occurred. As I said earlier, the demand for housing had increased, and hence people were really desperate to see their house or apartment made. Moreover, since they had invested a lot into these projects, they were getting more and more frustrated over the delays. In the end, they had had enough and started to protest on the streets. They were protesting in front of banks, in front of these real estate companies, demanding to get their money back or resuming construction on the apartment building that they paid for. Due to the civil unrest, force had to be taken so that the crowd could be dispersed. This further weakened the already flailing economy. But this begs the question, why was the economy flailing in the first place? Well, besides the fact that the real estate industry was continuously failing due to its Ponzi scheme, with a lot of major companies going towards bankruptcy, it was also due to a sudden massive drop in consumer confidence. People just don't know what will happen. They're afraid to take loans, afraid to do anything. This has resulted in the slowing down of the flow of money in the economy, which in turn really negatively affected China. Now that you know all the issues that China is facing, what do you think the consequences of this all will be? More importantly, what will happen due to the hit on consumer confidence? Well, let's find out. Consumer confidence is very important in a country as it drives demand. Demand drives sales, and thus this drives supply. It's simple economics. Thus, if consumer confidence falls, it could be really detrimental for a country. The ongoing situation, like I previously said, has had quite an impact on consumer confidence. Hence, it comes as no surprise that people have lost interest in real estate and property sales have dropped more than 30%, eclipsing the drop they had during the 2008 global economic crisis. This clearly shows the consequences of this economic collapse. That is not just the first issue in this long list of consequences. Although much less than anticipated, retail sales and industrial production increased, and the youth unemployment rate reached a record high of 19.9%. Can you imagine that? Moreover, Beijing's zero-COVID policy and a downturn in exports are projected to significantly impede growth in the second half of the year. The dismal report caused Chinese equities to drop, diverging them from rising equity markets in other significant nations like the U.S. and undermining investor confidence in the future for the entire world. The U.S. must be loving this. It is struggling so much. However, we can only pray for China. Furthermore, as we all know, China excels at building stuff. They are known for their exports to all over the world. However, due to recent times, the demand for such exports is going down, and thus China is being affected negatively. Exports are one of the drivers of China's GDP, and hence it means if they drop, China is bound to be affected badly, as its exports bill will keep on rising. Given the severity of the situation, the government cannot just sit back and watch. In a bid to boost consumer interest, the government cut down the lending rate. They reduced it by 10 base points, which would result in the lending rate becoming 2.75%. This drastic drop is pretty much a strong reaction, but what can we say for sure? This was to promote lending, which would result in higher capital and wealth for the public, which would boost sales and hence save the economy. Moreover, the government also has plans to help the stricken real estate industry, thanks to a bailout package worth $44 billion. China recently approved the package, and we can safely say things will temporarily get better soon. But in my opinion, the government needs to completely devise a completely new real estate sector, because given its history and recent academic performance, the industry will do the same to you again. Buying into bailout packages repeatedly will only make the sellers more confident, and hence they will continue to do the same Ponzi scheme. The government should learn from this and never support the industry again. It should take a hard stance in terms of companies that are indulged in such behavior. Only then will China be able to control the sector, and for once be able to thrive as the great country it once was. I will end this video with a quote I once read recently. China is definitely in a very desperate situation. The problem now is no effective demand. If you don't allow people to come out and consume, there is no demand. This was said by Jingdong Chen, an economist who knew perfectly well the issue at hand with China. Let's see if others follow the same approach as Mr. Chen or not. I hope that answers your questions regarding everything there is to know regarding China's economic collapse. I think we have covered everything, but if you have any more questions in mind, do let us know in the comments down below. We value the feedback of our esteemed subscribers, so do not hesitate to do so. That's it for the video. I hope you liked and enjoyed the video. Please let me know by pressing the like button, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for future notifications. Till then, take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next one.